Chapter 31, Jupiter's Crossing from the Green Ember. The scene was awful. The center circle of the ninth window showed a clearing between two woods, an open crossing between the two places of cover. The field was full of hideous birds, hawks, eagles, owls, and falcons. In the center, an enormous black hawk loomed over the form of a brown rabbit, a crown of flames on the ground beside him. "For me, this is the worst of it, my dears," Uncle Wilfred said. "I was there, but my brother, the villain Garton, didn't kill me. He betrayed the king, delivered him up to Morben himself, and stained our family forever." "What happened?" Pickett whispered. "I won't say all here," Uncle Wilfred said, "but such was King Jupiter's trust in my brother and your Uncle Garton Longtreader that he met Garton at the crossing without any cause for alarm. I was with the king, but as we drew near, I was sent on an errand to Lookout Point, a fort in the trees overlapping what we now call Jupiter's Crossing. I was roughed up, gagged, and tied to a post. I could see it all. I watched as the king was set upon, almost totally without help, by wolves, evil rabbits in Garton's employ, and lords of prey." Here's a picture. This is what the windows look like. See, that's what they're looking at. Red-Eye Garlickson was there. Morben Blackhawk, their king, was there. I heard every word that passed between them. Morben was sneering and proud. He looked eager to humble the king. I don't think he meant to kill him, but he had a plan of even more wickedness devised to bring about his evil ends. But the king provoked Morben. "You are betrayed," Jupiter, Morben said in his triumphant, spiteful rasp. "Yes," the king said, "but it will not hold. All will be well." "Well," he sneered, "you're captive, O great and mighty king. You will die," Morben said. "Yes, I will. But already an answer to this treachery and murder forms in the mouth of the great wood." "Then I'll burn the wood," Morben sneered. "Even if you burn the great wood down," Morben burst, "among the smoldering embers they'll find that one is green. It's a seed of a new world. It will grow in time, a mended wood, greater than even what I have seen." "A happy fantasy," Morben said, cackling. "Yes," the king said, "I am my father's true son, and my son is true. Let your talons strike. Let the sky blacken with your cursed foul army. You cannot kill an idea. You cannot murder a dream. You will fail, Morben, because—" But he was allowed to say no more. Morben did his foulest deed. Uncle Wilfred spoke through tears, and so ended the reign of King Jupiter the Great. Uncle Wilfred could say no more. Lord Rake picked up this story. "So ended the golden age of the Great Wood and the 100 Warrens. Morben burnt the Great Wood. The after terrors, as you have some idea, were a true horror. Wolves, led by Red-Eye Garlickson, were let loose to kill, ruin, wreck, and ravage. Birds of prey, led by Morben's Lieutenant Gurn, were death from on high. It was awful. Most of the army, by Garton Longtreader's design, were far away on what turned out to be a clever, cruel diversion. There was really no one there to oppose the rampaging force of blood and fire that overwhelmed the Great Wood, even to the first warren itself. The king's family fled. Everyone fled. I was, to my enduring sadness, away with the army. By the time I got back, all was ruined. That's when we all did what we could to save who and what we could, formed secret citadels, and went into hiding. I persuaded as many artisans and farmers as I could to come here. The one place I knew about that Garton Longtreader didn't. But that's another story. I agree with Wilfred. They had meant to keep the king, to manipulate him for their ends. But when provoked, Morben did his awful work, and Jupiter's Crossing has been a hallowed, horrifying place ever since. It's the site of our evilest hour and our greatest pain. Jupiter's Crossing is sacred, terrible." And he hesitated. Uncle Wilfred spoke again. "Jupiter's Crossing is the end of the world." Heather felt anger stir inside her. Unfair! The word blasted through her mind. Unfair! She hated the work of Morben, hated him, hated all the lords of prey. She resented Garton Longtreader, betrayer of the king, ruiner of their family. Father and mother had fled far to Nicolo to escape the name of Longtreader. Selfish as it was, she felt most angered by the unfairness of having never seen King Jupiter in his day and in his glory. She felt like she had all the bad and none of the good the world had to offer. She felt profoundly betrayed and yet guilty. Longtreader, her blood, her name, betrayers, traitors. I'm sorry, children, Uncle Wilfred said. I wish I could have stopped it. If I could go back, oh, I have imagined it 1,000 times to rescue the king. There would have been a war, yes, the most difficult one yet, against the coming of the lords of prey. But King Jupiter would have prevailed. Without him and with his lords and captains away with the army, the rest were easy to scatter. And all was lost in the great wood, Lord Rake said. It's true. High cost all around, he said. Heather saw for a moment what the after terrors must have meant for Lord Rake's own family. Many horrors, the ruin of our family being only one, Uncle Wilfred said. A small thing, yes, but to us it's like a sentence of death. Heather and Pickett cried, not knowing what else to do. They felt the crush of this news, the weight of a hated name. So were Longtreaders, said Heather, and we betrayed King Jupiter the Great. Our name is ruined. I'm so sorry, Uncle Wilfred said, hugging each. You might take another, Lord Rake said, if you believe it's so spoiled. Never, Uncle Wilfred said. My life's work has been and will continue to be the restoration of the name of Longtreader to its former place, a name synonymous with King Buck. I've never gone by the name Longtreader, Pickett said, trying to control his tears, but from now on I will never go by another. He seemed to somehow relish his news, as if it confirmed the place he had suspected he ought to occupy in the world. All the joy this day had held was gone, and bitter, gloomy Pickett returned, still more shattered. How can we show ourselves around here? Heather asked. Do others know who we are? Many do, said Lord Rake. You have no doubt had scornful looks, disapproving stares, especially when you're with your uncle. I'm sorry to say everyone associated with Garton is suspicious to most. It's especially true in the citadels, but it's also true here. I'm sorry, Uncle, said Heather. It's not fair. I believe it is fair, said Uncle Wilfred. I deserve the scorn. You two in Smalls don't, however. None of you do, said Lord Rake. Don't be fools. We're all on the same side. We all have the same goal, the mended wood that King Jupiter foresaw. Uncle Wilfred and Pickett nodded somberly. Heather looked up at the 9th window. The center image was of Jupiter's crossing, alive with birds of prey, wolves, and other creatures. The captured king was in the center. The image above showed a great black hawk with a golden face, Morbin, she supposed, beside the great rabbit, Garton Longtreader. She looked down on the body of the king, Garton bending to pick up the fallen crown. The wreathed flames of the crown glittered in the sunlight. Jewels shone brightly. But she noticed something wrong. The green ember was missing. The bottom image of the window was a burning wood, homes destroyed, rabbits fleeing in terror as birds swooped in and wolves attacked. She winced, recalling her own awful experience and imagining it multiplied across thousands of homes. What's behind the cloth of the last window? She asked. It's unfinished, Lord Rake said. Unfinished? For now, he said. There's the end.